Hi everyone. There have been reports of now 2 cracks found in steel beams that support the Salesforce Transit Center roof to what is now called Salesforce Park. Oakland News Now has a post that I installed last night which focuses on a February 17th, 2017 memo from what is called the Cost Review Committee. The Cost Review Committee was established August 24th of 2016, right after the Transbay Joint Powers Authority, the organization that governs the operation of Salesforce Transit Center, shifted executive directors from Maria Kaplan, to Mark Zabadeh. Mark Zabadeh established the Cost Review Committee, and in a meeting February 17th, 2017, went over a list of items that focused on different construction methods and materials that could be used with the overall objective of reducing costs. That month alone, that month of February, the Cost Review Committee identified over $22 million that could be cut. Why? Because the project originally went over budget by about $300 million because of a dramatic increase in the cost of steel right after the Great Recession, and then of course that steel price was fueled by the Economic and Recovery Act that President Obama signed into law, which called for expenditures on all types of public projects, primarily bridges, airports, roads, that drove up the price of metals starting in the last quarter of 2000, actually not the last quarter of 2009, but starting in 2010, first quarter. So that was around the time that the developers and developer, Maria Kaplan, started buying steel for the Transbay Transit Center project. No one knew to what degree the price for steel was going to increase, so it was something that had to be dealt with along the way. Rather than increase revenues for the project, for example, expanding redevelopment areas, what was done by the politicians is call for dramatic rounds of cost reduction in any area they could find. There was even talk of not approving the roof. The Salesforce was now called the Salesforce Park roof, but Ms. Kaplan fought for the roof. It remained. However, many of, in fact, I think it's better to say all of the cost reduction orders came after she departed and under the watch of Mr. Zabadeh. Foremost among them, because of the problem we're talking about now, is an alteration in how, in the support structure that's above the bus area, the bus alleyway, I'll call it. Let me show you what this looks like on Oakland News Now, and I will encourage you to read more what's being presented. When I say it, I mean the memo itself and how to find it. I'm waiting for the document to open right now, and here it is open, and I'll take you down there. While it's opening, I'll explain that where the buses come in, on the third deck, the roof is above it, which serves as the floor to the park. That roof, what is comprised of are steel beams. It's those steel beams that are the focus of the problem. And the cracks in those beams occurred because they were not significantly load tested to determine, even by simulation, if the kind of specification of steel beam that was installed was up to the task of handling the many thousands of people running around on the park around above it, euphemistically speaking. I think walking around is a more appropriate term, in addition to the other types of vibrations that the building has to sustain through its life. This is, let me show you what we have here. This is the article, as you can see, okay? And at Oakland News Now. And if you scroll down here, you will find this link. This is the memo, and it reads metal ceilings. It says the scope to be procured under this CR cost review is due to acceptance of the value engineering design recognized in trade package 18.1 bus ramp for credit of $1.5 million. The value engineering consisted of replacing an orthotropic concrete structure with exposed steel beams. The value engineering change requires an aluminum enclosure to wrap the exposed steel at frame 5 of the bus ramp. This request to the cost review committee is for an amount of $450,000. So this is a change basically from what's called an orthotropic concrete structure. What that is, that's a fancy term for a concrete structure that supports, it's horizontal. And the best way to describe it is that it would support, it would span, let's say this is the bus ramp, it spans the bus ramp. This was concrete. This is a concrete structure. The roof is above it. What was done was replace the concrete structure with a series of steel beams in order to cut costs. I can't find a document that shows why that particular procedure was recommended. I can't find a report that shows any evidence that this new approach was evaluated with a question, is this adequate to sustain the kind of use loads the facility will undergo? There are now not one but two cracks in the steel beams, and those are the steel beams that are in question. I challenge anyone to say they're not. As I've talked with a number of people who agree that, who don't want to be named, who agree that, at least for now, who agree that's the entry. So if you want to find this again on Oakland News Now, just go to oaklandnewsnow.com. It'll be the link to it here, okay? You can click on the actual memo here, all right? Click that. This will open up. See? This is memorandum for the committee meeting of February 17th, 2017, all right? Ron Alameda, Director of Design and Construction with Transbay Center, San Francisco Public Works, Dennis Churchon, Senior Construction Manager at KTBA, and Sarah DeBon, Chief Financial Officer from them. That's to the committee that's meeting. And the committee consists of the Executive Director of the Transbay Joint Powers Authority, the Executive Director of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission as well. So, and the Executive Director, I believe, of the San Francisco Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Now, what we're looking for is down here under page, let's see here. There it is, metal ceilings. Let's check the page here, page 6. See, it says metal under TGOA 6R metal ceilings. Drop-in span aluminum enclosure, VE item. That's it, right there, okay? And what it refers to, this trade package 18.1 bus ramp is listed in a 2014 document. This is for a credit of 1.5 million, okay? So there you are. There's no other document which refers to this kind of change to install exposed steel beams. Something else. All right.